Thanks everyone for your time. It's a pleasure to be introducing Kingston Resources to you today. We're a gold-focused company with two projects, PNG project and a West Australian project, and our flagship project is Missima. It's a multi-million ounce endowment, previous production of 4 million ounces, and just before I get into it, you can see from this introduction slide here the picture of the old project in the 90s. It doesn't look like that today. It's now a jungle. The mill's gone. About the only thing that's remaining there is the port. That haul road is our current access to the project as we speak, and the 2.8 million ounces was remaining from Placer Dome. When they closed the project, they decided to close the project in the 90s. Just a forward-looking statement and disclaimer for you all to read at your leisure. So, in summary, Kingston is focused on Missima. We currently own 70% of that project, and our partner is Pan Pacific Copper, which is a consortium of Nippon and Mitsui. It's in PNG, it's on an island, which I'll get into a bit more detail shortly. Our second project, smaller scale, is Livingstone in Western Australia near Meekatharra. Has a 50,000 ounce resource and some very exciting high-grade intersections historically and currently drilling that project as we speak. Experienced board and management with a lot of time in gold predominantly, and recently Mick Wilkes from Oceana Gold joined the board in July this year to help advance the Missima Gold project. Active programs in both projects as we speak. We've got one drill rig at Missima and one in WA. We have over 50 local employees in PNG as we speak, and quite a small company in terms of Sydney-based, 2 people in the office there and 1 person in Western Australia. So similar to the other stories, our workforce is in PNG. So corporate structure, you can see there, we're a $27 million company today. We have 5 million cash and a very large gold project in PNG, as I said. 3 major shareholders, all with around 10%, being Slipstream Resources. In Sydney, Sandfire. Sandfire was actually a large shareholder of WCB Resources, which is the company that we took over to get the Missima Gold project. Farjoy is a high net worth investor in Sydney. Our board and management, Tony Wiebe, he was founding chairman of YTC, which is Euralia today, and he took that from an explorer to production. Myself as a mining engineer, Andrew Patterson's a mine geologist. As I said earlier, Mick Wilkes joined the board recently from Oceana Gold. Stuart Regner is also a geologist and lawyer, and Chris Drew is our finance CFO. 2 key people for this company is our exploration manager. He is the only expat we have in Missima on the PNG project. And most importantly, he used to work for Placer Dome, and he was there as an exploration geologist in the late 90s. And our second person there on the project is Charles Yabone. He's our project manager and is a geologist, but instrumental in our community work and our community liaisons. So a bit more detail on Missima. You can see where it is. It's an island off to the east. You fly directly 3 flights a week from Port Moresby. There's actually a population of over 20,000 people on Missima today. There's commercial flights, so there's a commercial airport, so anyone here can fly there today. We have a large resource base, 82 million tonnes at 1.1 grams or 2.8 million ounces. And it's open at depth and along strike north and south. I'll get to the exploration upside of the project shortly. But Missima has a long mining history. It was actually the second place in PNG where they started mining after Sud-Est in 1888, and they have not stopped. So even today as we speak, there's artisanal miners all over the project, and similar to the earlier stories, we work very closely with those guys to form close relationships and also help with our exploration strategy. Placer Dome operated the project for 15 years, and as I said earlier, produced 4 million ounces of gold, average of 230,000 ounces a year, and a peak production of 370,000 ounces in 1992. So it was a large-scale project. But most importantly for new investors and for us today, that 15 years of production history was very profitable and very successful, and it de-risks what we're doing today. And Placer Dome and Barrick, who owned it after subsequent to Placer, did a great job of protecting all the data which we all have in boxes and electronic format today. As I said earlier, our partner is Nippon and Mitsui, and we're current strategy at Missima is quite simple: to continue exploration over the next year and kick off the mining studies in 2019. Our production advantage, and why we talk about this as a production advantage, is a good place to be on an island in PNG. Water's your best friend. It helps with infrastructure, it helps with the local community, and helps with the populations or potential new population growth as you go to build a project. It's in the right real estate. PNG, it's the land of the elephants. This project's already got a 7 million ounce endowment, and we are only just starting to explore it again. Misamar itself has a long mining history, I said earlier, and today their current income is coming from gold mining and also fly-in, fly-out workers. And that's really important for Kingston, being a small company. We've got a trained workforce, which are all Placid Dome employees who live at Misamar and currently do fly-in, fly-out to various projects throughout PNG. So they're all very keen for us to get this project rebuilt. Obviously, approvals-wise, it was an approved mining project, so that's all very important for us to know and have. Historical mining parameters, obviously, it's really important to have a low-cost mining project in PNG and great metallurgy. We know this project recovered 91% gold and 48% silver for 15 years and was a low-cost mining project. Why was it so low cost and the milling so good? Is because it's very soft, free milling dirt, so low cost of energy to recover the gold. Infrastructure is really important, as we also know in PNG. With the islands, everything's barged in, and actually once you've re-established the barges and the logistics is actually low cost and very helpful. We have great access with the airport, there's hospitals, there's schools, there's accommodation. These are all ex-mine houses which we currently rent, and there's an educated workforce. So last slide on the past, and I'll get to the present shortly, but you can see, and this is probably not that fair on Placer and really, but you can see they closed the project in 1999 when the gold price was almost at the bottom. So it was a low-cost project, $218 an ounce for the life of the project. So great margins. So our focus is on margins, and I mean, everyone talks about grade is king, but most importantly to me is actually EBIT margin. You can see where it was in 1995 on the 5% lowest cost on the gold cost curve there. So where are we at today? There's multiple exploration targets. We are the only exploring company on the island. We've got the EL that covers 180 square kilometres. It's 10 kilometres by 40 kilometres. Our target area is that 7 to 8 kilometre long Yamuna fault zone. That's where the 2.6 million ounces sits today. Then we have the northern section, which is 4 kilometres long. There was some early work there, and we've got a target there called Ara Creek, which we're currently advancing. Yamuna East, we've got T4 and T5 there. They're our first target areas, and Placid did a great job of identifying a number of areas there for us. Quartz Mountain, that's a different prospect altogether and a different geology setting. And quite interestingly, that was discovered when Placid went looking for road base, and they ended up putting the first two pits through the mill at 2 grams per tonne. So that's great and very prospective area for us. And Ginamawa is our first discovery as Kingston. We found this area in December, and it's one of the few areas on the island that Placer actually hadn't done any work on. And I'll get into a bit of detail on that in this slide. So you can see here the current prospect is about 500 metres long. It's about 150 metres wide. It is right next to where the historical mill was, and the old historical haul road actually crosses over the top of it. You can see the free gold there, and that's quite unique for Misamar. We don't actually find a lot of free gold, so to find this in this project is actually very encouraging. You can see some of the intersections we're getting: 14 metres at 12, 34 at 3, 50 metre trenches at 2, 5 metres at nearly 10 grams, 25 metres at 1.67 grams. So this is a oxide prospect right next to the previous infrastructure, and hopefully next to the new infrastructure, and obviously quite higher grade than what we've currently got in our current resource today. A second target area that we're currently working on is Ara Creek. This is to the north, and as I said earlier, Placer actually did do some work on there, and we're now expanding on that work, and we'll be targeting drilling this in 2019.
The final sessions for IMARC are happening in the different
There was actually some adits, underground adits up into the north, which we've now rediscovered and sampled.
Make your way to the final theatres. Thank you.
Currently drilling at Misamar. As you can see, we're focused on the current resource, and in 2019 we're going to move out to the exploration targets, or the regional targets as we're currently referring to them. You can see there, these are the type of intersections you'd expect in a large-scale ore body, particularly 27 metres at 1.1. We expect that to continue as we drill over the rest of the year. WA, just quickly wrapping up on a West Australian project. We have 75% of this project, and we picked this up in late 2016. Very interesting, quite a high grade open pit target near Meekatharra, surrounded by a number of mills in this region. It's a 35 kilometre long structure, and this has a history in the early 30s of being underground mining, and you can see there it produced 1,200 ounces at 21 grams. That's the only data point we have on that at this point. But we've just completed our third drilling program on that. Every time we drill this prospect, we hit gold, and it seems to get better and better for us. We currently have assays pending on that project, and we'll update the market on that in due course. Also at Livingstone, we have a 50,000 ounce resource, which is a 2004 historical resource, so that hasn't been upgraded, but you can see some of those hits there, 18 at 7 and 14 at 3, some nice high grade targets, and that's out at surface and outcrops. And our current target is 10 k's to the west of that, where we're drilling. So we've got the resource on the eastern side of the tenement, and we're drilling to the west now. Just to let you know where we're trading at and why we're out here talking to everybody and telling the story. We took over WCB Resources to get the Missima project in November last year. We're currently trading at $10 an ounce, you can see there on the chart, and one of the largest resource bases for that peer group on the ASX. So in summary, we're advancing the 2.8 million ounce Missima Gold Project. You'll see exploration continue and mining studies over 2019. We have a large global partner with Nippon and Mitsui involved there. We're aiming to re-establish Missima as a large-scale open pit project in due course, and Livingstone Gold Project is basically, hopefully, our starter project or a stepping stone into the Missima Gold Project. And I'll leave it there, and thank you very much.